Rightio, so we can see that the US markets are much softer, and the European markets, the DAX and the FTSE are just starting to let go now of their highs. Now the DAX has held up the longest, as you know, and there's two different ways we can look at this. So I still want to look at it in two different ways. Well, it's actually three. However, the first one is that we've got this as wave 1 over here and wave 2 over here, and then we look for 3, 4, 5 up here, and then we look for an ABC for wave 2 here. So we should expect, if that's the case, we should expect this to move down, somewhere into that sort of vicinity here in due course. I kind of like this count because I know it's a little bit weird, but this October, November low over here, I'm seeing that in my country, in Australia, and I'm seeing it in resource stocks, and I'm even seeing it in iron ore. I know that's a little bit sort of weird, but from that, some of them had them October, some November. So this is iron ore in China here, but it's the same thing. It was 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 here, and it's held up quite nicely like the DAX. And I have no idea what the connection would be, but still, Germany have opened their doors to China, the same as Australia. So from wave 4 here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're very close to having a top here. So this is like our resource stocks, and so this has also been holding up here. But that 5 waves up there from November, slightly different, but still a nice trend in 5 waves to the upside. So to have this as 5 waves of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here is kind of fitting, really. Now, it is possible that it could push higher. I mean, trading against the trend and working against the trend is, obviously higher risk. And so there's a few things we need to talk about it up here. The other one that we've been looking at was a bit the same as the S&P, which is wave 1 here and 2 here. And then this move up here as a wave 1 and a wave 2 over here. So it would be a shorter pullback, but still pulling back at the same time. So there's 2 different ways we can look at this. And then also too, this 5th wave here is a little bit short, but as I mentioned yesterday, the 3rd wave here is the longest, and we've got wave 1 here, which is short. So when you get the extension to wave 3, wave 1 and wave 5 can be roughly the same. Take it with a pinch of salt, but just generally that sort of, it's just getting the right perspective about it and feeling comfortable that that could be a possibility, because if it's not, the reality would be that this move up here would be a wave 1 with a wave 2 pullback, and we're looking at that as well, and we'll continue to look at that today. So we could get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and see a change in trend for the Friday. We've got employment figures coming out for the US in the next session. What do you call them? The employment situation. So I mean, we had unemployment today in the US, which was the good news, bad news story. Higher unemployment is good news. But so that's it. But look, we could have that top in. That's kind of the take of it. And if there is a top in place, then we've got two possibilities. We've got this wave 2, which would be 50-60% of this move here, and then we've got this wave 2, which would be 50-60% of this move here. Now they don't have to be 50-60%; they could be 40, but one would come lower than the other in that regard, So that's something that we'll need to work through. So it does make a good possibility for a short, but the risk is on the turn as well. So we'll need to try to understand what the possibility of having wave 1 here and 2 here is, and 3 and 4 and 5 moving up here further, and then coming down. So that's what we're up against at the moment. So we need a little bit of strategy for that. Let's just cruise in here. We've been looking at the 20k tick chart here, and so if this was, I will go to another chart and look at it because I've got it labeled. Save me labeling it. I think it was 10k. I know that's the alternative, but it does give us this particular scenario here of we can have different, we can have this wave one or the other wave one, as you know. So we could look at this as wave one up here and ABC for wave two here. So this area here would become, that's the 50%, that's at, say, so be it, let's just right in the middle of that would be at 400. So what we could say in the bigger picture, if you're looking to short this, then you could say to ourselves, well, obviously a move down here is going to create some bounces and things, but we could say apart from the bounces, we'll put a bounce in there, right? But apart from the bounce, what we'd want to see is we'd want to see this 61.8%. We would want to see that as the resistance at that point. So we'd be looking for a classic trading levels pattern at that point if we're going for the long haul. So we'd want something like that, because if this got breached, the 61 point, then we can remove this 1-2 business here in 345, do you know? So a classic trading levels pattern, here's a nice sweet picture of this point, comes down through the 400 here, drops through, gives us that low here, does the retest. So we can short under here, we can short the second one. It'll probably come back above the level, so we'll end up with something a little bit messier coming back above the level. Then we need to restart again. We still got these here, but we restart over here again with these ones here, which is kind of okay. It's good really because it gets us a little bit higher. And yeah, so this little picture in here, this entry and stop here, that picture inside that will be the same as this bigger picture here. So coming down will be the bounce, the arrival, the reaction, the first low below the level, the ABC pattern here. So you should be able to get a better entry in over here for that. So keep working it and refining it, and just make the trades very, very small so they don't matter if you make a mistake and don't get upset and depressed and all the rest of it. But if that 400 becomes the resistance, what that means, it means that, well, we get down to this point here. So from here, we'll get down to the 61.8% here. Now, we could come lower. So on our journey down here, we would look at the implications of that. And yeah, so, I mean, in terms of, well, what does the structure look like, Do we have 3 waves to this level here, do you know? And then we think, are we going to get a bigger move down, Because if it's the other wave one up here, we'll get 5 waves down here, and then we'll have a correction here, and then we'll come down again, So, but yeah, staying with the A wave at least, or getting the max out of the third wave will be, so we can get to 400 here, so we could pick up, 1,000 points here. So that's kind of the playing to win. That's the game at this point. So then that brings us back into this little area over here for this. So obviously this, to start with, this move down through here would be, there'll be sort of 5 waves in this move here somewhere. So if it was going to be a corrective pattern here, then we would look at it say with this, say if it's, we've got to get past the green 1 and 2 here. So to get past that, I know that you can have opinions and of that it's possibly not this, but we need to walk in the bull shoes here, even if it's BS. And so this would be like a wave 3 coming down here, and we can investigate that a little bit further. 3, or we'll just put this in here, 4 and 5 here. So I'll just plonk that in there. So this would be what this looks like, and we can refine this a little bit further, but it just gives us a bit of a shell of an idea at this point. So we could look at this as an A wave, a B wave, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Obviously there's going to be really good support here because of all of this. So yeah, I mean, I can't remember what I've talked about. I would have liked to say shorted at this particular point here, which would have been the obvious thing at the time. But I'm not sure what I said, but it kind of doesn't matter. I think what we can do is that if you're short at the moment, coming into this area here, you've got a little bit of a choice. I mean, the other thing here too is that this could be a whole series of 1 and 2, 1 and 2, and 1 and 2 here, and come back up a bit higher up here. So it's probably a good idea to take some money off the table around this number as it edges lower in here. You know, it's not going to hurt. And then we need to have a look at, you know, how we can get in over here for this, you know. Because basically, if I just draw this down here, let's just assume for a moment it comes down a bit further, and we've got this wave 4 here, and then we got this wave 5 here. That would be that low here at that point. The other point here too, if this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here, then we could probably pull back up to the wave 4s again, or even 50% before going down again. Okay, anyway, that's 10k ticks. Let's just remember that a bit. We'll go on to the 5k. I can't remember what this is here. Okay, we're looking at this as the ABC as well. That is the high. It doesn't give me a really good 5-wave move here, but if I go an A and a B and a C wave, it doesn't give me a really good C wave here. So it's a bit Arthur-Martha of this situation here. I'll probably need to have a look at the cash market to figure it out, but I think that even so, we can look at it as wave 1 and 2 here. Now, if I've got this wrong, this would be wave 1 and 2 coming back up here, but we're just going to put in wave 3 here for a moment, and wave 4, because this would be a wave 4 here. So we can look at that as maybe a smaller wave 4, and then there'll be the wave 5 down here for that. And we're at 500 at the moment, so 5 is a much stronger, bigger number than 4 here, so that might be helpful to us along the way. I'll just tuck that in there for a moment, wave 3 and 4. So yeah, we'll just need to check on that a little bit. That could, this opening, what price is that? 15,565, so that's the lower end of that. So okay, that's just important here. I can see it through here. There's some reason that this particular price point is important, so I think what we could do is just note that there. So if you wanted to sort of get through all of that, the stop would have to be above this one here. I can see that that's the balance point here. That's where it let go, and it had history here, had attachment here. So it could go back and test it. So you'd need the stop above that if you're going to survive going further down. And like I mentioned, when you come down into the 400 here, there's going to be more support, and it might not bounce. I think we could, the 500 will play out quite nicely at that point as your support, and it's this low here and the little consolidation that's in here, and it's still working this. It's going to be working this in here for a while. So yeah, eventually it'll battle here and then drop and then go back and test it, and it can test it from here too, and go back and test it in a bigger picture. So let's just cruise into the 1000 here. So this is a sort of another bearish side to the case, you know. This would be, no, I'm just shooting the breeze here. So 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 here. So that's where that other price point that we had in here somewhere, 5, 6, that's it there, 15, 6. So I know the retracement levels are important, but this would be this could be tested somewhere. So you really need to have your stop out of the way up here for that. I mean, you don't have to have it that high, but let's just put a little stop in there so we know we've at least talked about it, because getting in's not a problem. It's just where to put that stop, isn't it? So that's 600, so just popping it above the 600 here for the time being. I know that's a long way away, but it takes courage to stay in a trend, you know, and we don't even know if we've got it yet. So this is, you know, you need to add up how much you can lose with all of this. And like I say, the beginnings of trends are very difficult to stay in, you know. because they retrace a lot. So what I want to do is just have a bit more of a look at that. So I'm just going to go to the 100 tick area here, and we can label some of this. If I've got that as 2 here, I can just put that as 1 and 2 here. So we'll probably put 3 and 4 over here. I don't know if it's that 4 yet or not. And while we're here, we can look at 1, 2, 3 down here somewhere, 4 over here, and 5 down here somewhere. Okay, so that gives us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for 1 and 2. I mean, I could put 1 and 2 here, but it's more likely to be, looks like 1, 2, 3. Oh, that looks like a 1 and 2 here too, doesn't it? Oh, it's not very clear. What about the cash market? I did look at that somewhere. Here we go, the DAX. So, which one were we looking at? That was the 15. That, oh, that's that high. That's, let me just get my bearings here. Let's get a bit more in here. That's it hasn't moved at that point. That's, what's that, after hours, is it? Yeah, I'm looking at this leg, but I don't have that on the DAX just yet. So, okay, we'll just have to try to figure out some other way of looking at it. So, we know that that could all be wave 1 to the downside. I mean, it's not like a big wave 2 here, is it? So this wave 4 may suffice here for this. What does that look like at this point? Kind of brings it down to here, but it doesn't 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It doesn't look quite good. I have to do some work on that. I can't really label that way. I can't put this here as wave 3 here because I'm just going to put these here. I mean, I've got 1 and 2 here, and 3, 4, 5. I can't do that. I can't put wave 3 here because it's too close to this low, this one here, you know. So I just think we're going to be, if it's this, we're going to be coming down further in all of this. So we either drift on down further or we need to. So the worst case scenario would be taking this here and this low, which I don't think's finished yet either, because that would be 1 and 2, 1 and 2 here. So the worst case scenario will come back up to the, yeah, pretty much where I've had it before, a little bit lower here, but that's the at this point. So you can adjust that. So if we do get another low down here, for instance, then just bring that down to that low. Do you know what I mean? Keep bringing it down. Keep finding out where that 61.8% is and keeping the stop above that. That would be that if you know, it takes, you've got more at risk in the market at that point. But in terms of the other count, the A, the B, and the C wave here with 1, 2, you know, as we'll have to put that there as 3, 4, and 5 here. So you need to clean out. We'll have to have a look at how that plays out. Keep an eye on the Asian session, see what that does. 10:45. Let's just have a look at Australia at the moment. Okay, well that's good. Okay, so with Australia, we're looking, it's already been, you know, we already had our wave 1 up here. We've got the A, the B here, and we're looking down as 1 and 2 here, and then 1 and 2. And so this is, I think that we can bring this down further now for this, so that's all good. I'm just going to remove some of this so I can work in here. So that, I mean, I could still pin that to that, couldn't I? And have this wave 3. Still need a wave 4 here and a wave 5. The timing's sort of there. I mean, I could certainly bring this down to here as well on this, so I need to double check inside of that. It's not really sticking out like dog's balls here for a wave forward, you know. I'm still not getting that wave 4. I've got a little wave 4 there, but it's probably this wave 4 here of one smaller degree. Anyway, that's not that helpful. It could be. That was the 7th of March. That's the 7th of March over here for that top. Just 7th of March. That's 7th of March. That's 7th of March. So that could be helpful. So that's 7th of March here. 7th of March here. That's the 9th of March. That will be the 9th of March. 9th of March. And we got this one. So it's kind of interesting, isn't it? This one. And the 10th, the 9th and 10th here. So you see how I've got this as blue here and blue 1, blue 2 here. Yeah. Even though we've got different trends, but we're starting from this top here. So that this 1 and 2 here is probably about right, you know. So that means that I think we still need to bring this down here further and this here, and we drop this into here. So we're still on this bandwagon here. So I don't think we got wave 1 and 2 at that point. I don't think that's the case. So yeah, I think that's that actually, and we need to come down here further for this wave 3 and 4 to come into play. But it's still not deep enough, because that, taking that to there and then that to there, that would be the blue wave 3, yeah, so that's where we could put that. Sorry for not having all this sorted, but it's just my process anyway, you know, which is good to see how what the chef's doing, so to speak. So yeah, that would be conservative at this point, having that 3-4 there. So all I can say in capping all this off is that there's going to be a whole lot of wave 3s and 4s here. So when we go back to just go back to say 10k, 20k. This, yes, see all of this here. This is going to be a nightmare over here for this, you know. So in this case, we've got a different ball point here, but so yeah, this is different, a different count here, of course. But if we've got this as 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and coming down for the third wave, all of this here is going to reflect those 3s and 4s that we just had a bit of a look at. So we can look at it like this here. We can look at the A wave coming down to here, and this would be minimum here. But this is going to put the DAX, while the other markets are recovering because the DAX was much slower, then the DAX is going to be bearish for longer than the other markets. So in one way or another, we're looking at 1 and 2 here, and 3s and 4s and 5s here. It's going to be something like this here. Okay, let's have a look at the FTSE now. So this is the whole trend up for the FTSE. This is like iron ore. This is like all the other ones here. The same as the DAX, really, you know, around the October lows, bit later actually. But we've been counting up here for this, and if this is going to be the case, then it looks like it's not going to be too bad at this point. But the 50-60%, I mean, we have to put that in here just to, you know, stick the flag in the ground. That is also down here for that, and this here was at the 16th of February high. 16th, 14th was quite important for most of the tops that came into play were at the turn of the US dollar at the 2nd, 3rd or 4th of February, and these came in later. So yeah, I know where they are at the moment. So I mean, we could end up with the A wave down here and the B wave over here and the C wave down here further. That's all possible. I mean, what we've been looking at lately was just the A wave here and the B wave here. So we can look at it in different ways. So I'll leave this here as a bigger picture, and then that would open this out here as wave 1 here and wave 2 here. So we can short this. This is a whole series of 1s and 2s in here, and we're getting into the third wave now. There'll be support here into the supply zone, of course, but that will probably line up with that. There is wave 3 and 4, and then 5 here for this. So that would be that picture there. So let's just go to, I think we're looking at the 5K tick here, and this is how we've had it here. We noted that we had 1 2 1 2 here, 3 4 5 for the third, the fourth and the fifth for wave 1 here or something. So we can just run 2 counts here, so 1 and 2 here. So we can look at it in both ways. And then this move here, this would be in line with the other markets too. So I'm not sure if I need to look at all of that as wave 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 here. So let me just have a little look. 1 2 3 4 5, or 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. No, that takes the top out. So I have to go this way with it. I have to go 1 there and 2 there. That's the only choice that I have, and that makes life much easier. So I'm just going to copy these here for a moment, and then this would be wave 1 and 2 here, and I'm just going to put 3 4 and 5 there for a moment. Now we don't know if this is wave C coming down here or wave A, and we'll just copy this here because we know that wave 3 is going to come in around here, and wave 4, so it's going to mirror each other here for that, you know. So we can put that here. This will be down here somewhere. This will be here. This will be I could have that wrong, but it looks okay at this point. I just need to double check in here. I think that's okay though. And this will be 3 and 4 and 5 in here. So this is where it gets going to get messy in here. So there'll be like wave 4, and then there'll be wave 5 here. Just take all this with a pinch of salt, but it's not too far off. And then so a whole series of wave 4s, and reflecting all this support back over here for this. And then what we need to try to figure out is all of this move down here just the A wave down here, you know? Or is it the end? Is it the A, the B and the C? Or is it just the A wave? We'll see. I mean, the length of this here is about here. So that will be there and there. All those wave 4s lining up. They'll all be a little bit lower, I reckon. So we could be down at the 7.75 area, you know, for this. In both cases, because all these 1 and 2, 1 and 2, 1 and 2, they need to play out here as 3 and 4, 3 and 4, 3 and 4, and so on. So that all needs to play out in one way or another. So in fact, that would be from here as an A and a B and a C wave down here. That means that it'll end here. That C wave needs to go here, on that third wave here, as 5 waves of 1 2 3 4 5 here. So it'll be, you know, it's not going to be easy down into this space, but that's what we're looking at the moment. And then we move over to the dollar. So what I need to do here is, this is the euro dollar. So it is possible that that's a low in place. I won't go into it too much, but if we do get a push up here much higher, taking this top out, then we're bullish at that point. It is simple as that. But otherwise, we need to look at this, and we'll look at the US dollar in a moment. We take this here, we put that here, we look for that 50-60% retracement level, which is in there. We move that. That's where that can sit at that point. This would be a little A wave, B wave, and a C wave up here. It will finish just before that. So you can look for short trades in this really at some point. The mirror opposite to this, if that's wave B here, this will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 coming down, okay? Otherwise, the US dollar, this B wave here would be this B wave over here for the US dollar. And in that case, this would be wave 1 and 2 here, and then moving up. So we can go long above this B wave here. That would certify that we're going higher at that point. And it's interesting in the sense that if it does take out that top, it can't be left just with one move here. So this move here, the length of wave 1 here, would be wave 3 here at minimum, so that will be at the 10,650, and it's not going to finish in 3 waves, it will finish in 5 waves, so the 50-60% retracement level is up closer towards the 800. So simply by taking that top out here, we would end up closer to the 800 here. At the same time, there's a count that can have this as wave C sitting right here on a top here, and we drop at this point. So it'll be interesting to see at this point. And now this can edge lower here in towards the 50-60% here. So it's got like the euro dollar, it's got a little bit more space to wiggle a little bit lower. So I think in the Asian session, we just give the euro dollar the peace of mind and let it do its own thing and wait for the engines to start up on the US market. So yeah, we'll just don't need to do much here. But if you see that this drops here, and then, I mean, even getting support back on here with the classic trading levels pattern of 500 here with the arrival reaction first high above the level, that point there, that's when you can short the euro here or go long on a EFT here or something. UUP EF. UUP is the ETF for the US dollar. So yeah, so let's just see how this goes. Triggering this support here or this one here tells us that the US dollar will be pushing up higher. So with that in mind, we've got that situation. This is the same for so even if let's just say for a moment that we've still got more downside here, and let's say that this is going to push up here a little bit more here, so it could continue to push up at that point. But what you'd look for at this point here, now it's going to stall at 106 anyway at the 61.8%, but if you see a sharp drop at that point, then that becomes the short trade at that point, and then this move back up here would give you the ABC pattern here, so then you can short in here as well. But shorting those lows there would be, unless you can figure out that you've got the A, the B and the C up here, then you can short at that point, but be a little bit careful. This is the same for the pound as well. So with the pound, we never sterling rather, whatever you like to call it, we never really got that we never got 5 waves up here. We ended up with 3 waves up here. So we can either have wave 3 here or wave 1. So wave 1's also a good bet too, because it would line it up with the other markets, even though it had that in there first. So I just can't get 5 waves here. So there's a good chance that this is an A wave, a B wave to here, and then 1, 2 here, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the third wave, and A, B, C, D, E here for the fourth wave, and a drop here for the fifth wave. So this wave 4 can be placed in here for that. I mean, I've got it counted a little bit differently, but we can have an A and a B and a C wave to here, and then move up to here. But that means that the dollar's got to drop. So that means that this floor here, the 61.8%, you need to see the market drop through here. In fact, it'll stall around here for a while, but if you can see it finding resistance, then you know that this will drop. You know, we've got a more serious top in place for this, and a low in place here. But the same thing applies here as well in terms of this to the downside. So this here, because this can just be wave 1 here, coming back for wave 2, and then dropping, dropping its bundle at in that space. You can sort that out on your own platform, but that's where that is at the moment. This trend line here we can bring through here. They're always good for a resistance point. But yeah, I can see that we could count this from the low here as 1 and 2, or an A and a B here. So this would be another little one too. So it's going to take a little bit of time here for this to play out. But yeah, it's going to, at some point, we'll see this drop here. So a sharp drop here will give you that low to short at that point. Alrighty, I'll leave it at that. So I just think keep an eye on I think the US, there'll just be white noise in the in the off session. But once this starts back up, just see how that goes. If you see that push up being strong here, then you know that we're going to continue pushing up here, and then that's going to make those currencies weak, and it's also going to apply more pressure to the other markets as well, the indices. Alrighty, cheers.